One unexpected bill can destroy your financial progress, unless you are prepared. This is why an emergency fund is one of the most important foundations of personal finance. Before investing, before upgrading your lifestyle, before chasing bigger financial goals, you need protection, because life does not always wait until you are ready. Car can break down, a medical bill can appear, a job can be lost, a phone can need repair, a family emergency can happen, a rent payment can become stressful, and if you do not have money set aside, one unexpected problem can quickly become debt. This is exactly what an emergency fund is designed to prevent. An emergency fund is money you keep separate for real emergencies, not for shopping, not for vacations, not for lifestyle upgrades, not for random spending, not for things you simply want in the moment. It is money that protects you when life becomes unpredictable. Think of it as a financial safety net. It may not feel exciting. It may not feel like a fast way to build wealth, but it gives you something extremely valuable. Breathing room, options, peace of mind. And when you have peace of mind, you make better financial decisions. Before we go deeper, remember that this video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Everyone's financial situation is different, so always make decisions based on your own goals, income, risk tolerance, and personal circumstances. Now let's break down what an emergency fund actually does. An emergency fund protects you from turning every surprise into debt. Without savings, even a small emergency can become expensive. Imagine your car needs an urgent repair. If you have no savings, you may put it on a credit card. Then interest starts building. Now the repair costs more than the original price. Or imagine you lose your job. Without emergency savings, you may feel forced to borrow money, sell investments at a bad time, or accept the first job available even if it is not a good fit. But with an emergency fund, you have time. You have choices. You have a buffer between you and panic. That buffer matters, because money is not only about numbers. Money is also about stress. When you have no backup, every problem feels bigger. A small bill feels like a crisis. A delayed payment feels dangerous. A surprise expense feels personal. But when you have an emergency fund, the same problem feels different. It may still be annoying. It may still be frustrating. But it is not a disaster. That is the power of preparation. Now let's talk about what counts as a real emergency. A real emergency is usually unexpected, necessary, and urgent. For example, a medical expense, a car repair you need in order to get to work, a sudden job loss, an urgent home repair, a necessary phone or computer repair if you need it for work, a family emergency, a basic living expense during a difficult period. These are the kinds of situations where an emergency fund makes sense. But not everything is an emergency. A vacation is not usually an emergency. A new phone upgrade is not usually an emergency. A sale at your favorite store is not an emergency. A luxury purchase is not an emergency. A holiday gift that you forgot to plan for is not really an emergency. A concert ticket is not an emergency. This matters because if you use your emergency fund for everything, it will not be there when you actually need it. The goal is not to create another spending account. The goal is to create protection. So before using your emergency fund, ask yourself 3 questions. Is this unexpected? Is this necessary? Is this urgent? If the answer is yes to all 3, it may be a real emergency. If the answer is no, it may be something to plan and save for separately. Now let's talk about how much money should be in an emergency fund. A common recommendation is 3 to 6 months of basic expenses. That means enough money to cover essentials like rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments, and other necessary costs for 3 to 6 months. But if you are starting from zero, that number can feel overwhelming. And this is where many people give up. They hear 3 to 6 months of expenses and think, that is impossible. But you do not need to build the full emergency fund overnight. Start with a smaller goal. Your first goal could be $500 or $1,000. or 1 month of basic expenses. The exact number depends on your income, your expenses, and your life situation. But the first step is simply to create distance between you and zero, because even a small emergency fund is better than no emergency fund. $500 may not solve every problem, but it can cover a smaller emergency. $1,000 may not cover a job loss, but it can prevent many surprises from becoming debt. 1 month of expenses gives you even more breathing room. Then, over time, you can build toward 3 to 6 months. Think of it like levels. Level 1. Build a small starter emergency fund. Level 2. Build 1 month of basic expenses. Level 3. Build 3 months. Level 4. Build 6 months if that fits your situation. You do not need to rush. You need to be consistent, because the emergency fund is not built by one huge deposit. It is usually built by repeated small deposits. Every paycheck, every month, every time you avoid unnecessary spending, every time you move money into savings before spending it. Small steps can create real security over time. Now, where should you keep your emergency fund? Usually, an emergency fund should be kept somewhere safe, separate, and accessible. Safe means the money should not be exposed to major market risk. Separate means it should not be mixed with your daily spending money. Accessible means you should be able to use it when a real emergency happens. This is why many people keep emergency funds in a separate savings account. Not in the stock market, not in risky investments, not in a place where the value can drop right when you need it, not in your main checking account where you may accidentally spend it. The emergency fund has one job: protection. It is not supposed to make you rich. It is supposed to keep you stable. This is important because some beginners feel like their emergency fund should be invested so it can grow faster. But emergency money is different from investment money. Investment money is for long-term growth. Emergency money is for short-term protection. If the market drops and your emergency happens at the same time, you do not want to be forced to sell investments at a loss. That is why your emergency fund should usually be boring. Boring can be good. Boring means stable. Boring means available. Boring means you can sleep better. Now let's talk about how to build an emergency fund when money is tight. First, choose a realistic starting number. Do not start by trying to save 6 months of expenses if that makes you feel defeated. Start with something you can believe in. Maybe $250, maybe $500, maybe $1,000. Second, automate it if possible. When money comes in, move a small amount into your emergency fund automatically. Even if it is small, the habit matters, because if you wait until the end of the month, there may be nothing left. Third, use small wins. Cancel one unused subscription. Cook at home 1 extra time per week. Avoid one impulse purchase. Sell something you no longer use. Put part of any extra income toward the fund. These small moves may not feel powerful in one day, but repeated over time, they add up. Fourth, keep the emergency fund separate. If it sits in the same account as you're spending money, it becomes easy to use it for non-emergencies. Give it a name: emergency fund, safety fund, peace of mind fund, rainy day fund. A name helps remind you what the money is for. Fifth, rebuild it after using it. Using your emergency fund is not failure. That is exactly what it is for. If you use it for a real emergency, do not feel guilty. Just make a plan to rebuild it. The mistake is not using the emergency fund. The mistake is never replacing it. Now let's talk about who may need a bigger emergency fund. If your income is unstable, you may want a larger fund. If you are self-employed, freelance, or commission-based, your income may change month to month. If you have children or dependents, you may need more protection. If you own a home or car, unexpected repairs can happen. If you work in an industry where job loss is more common, a larger emergency fund may help. If you have medical needs or family responsibilities, more savings may give you more peace. On the other hand, someone with very stable income, low expenses, and strong support may feel comfortable with a smaller emergency fund. There is no perfect number for everyone. The right emergency fund depends on your risk, responsibilities, and comfort level. But having some emergency fund is almost always better than having none. Now let's talk about a common mistake. People sometimes confuse emergency funds with sinking funds. An emergency fund is for unexpected events. A sinking fund is for expected future expenses. For example, if you know your car insurance is due in 6 months, that is not an emergency. You can plan for it. If you know the holidays are coming, that is not an emergency. You can plan for it. If you want to take a trip next year, that is not an emergency. You can save separately for it. Sinking funds are useful because they protect your emergency fund. You can have separate savings categories for predictable expenses: car maintenance, gifts, travel, insurance, school costs, annual bills. This way, when a predictable expense arrives, you do not need to touch your emergency money. Your emergency fund stays protected for real emergencies. Now let's look at a simple example. Imagine your basic monthly expenses are $2,000. Your starter emergency fund goal might be $1,000. Your 1-month goal would be $2,000. Your 3-month goal would be $6,000. Your 6-month goal would be $12,000. That may sound like a lot, but remember, you are building step by step. If you save $100 a month, you can build $1,200 in a year. If you save $200 a month, you can build $2,400 in a year. If you add extra income, small cuts, or occasional bonuses, you may build faster. The point is not to compare your progress to someone else. The point is to create your own safety. Your emergency fund is not about looking rich. It is about being prepared. And preparation can change the way you feel about money. When you have no emergency fund, your financial life can feel fragile. When you start building one, you start to feel stronger. Every deposit is a message to yourself. I am protecting my future. I am creating options. I am becoming more prepared. I am taking control. That feeling matters, because financial confidence is not built overnight. It is built through small actions repeated consistently. So here is the simple plan. First, define what counts as an emergency: unexpected, necessary, urgent. Second, choose a starter goal. Maybe $500, maybe $1,000, maybe 1 month of expenses. Third, keep the money safe, separate, and accessible. Fourth, automate contributions if possible. Fifth, build toward 3 to 6 months of basic expenses over time. Sixth, use it only for real emergencies. And seventh, rebuild it when you use it. An emergency fund may not be exciting. It may not be flashy. It may not feel like a fast path to wealth. But it protects the path. It helps you avoid debt. It helps you avoid panic. It helps you avoid selling investments at the wrong time. It gives you space to think. And that is powerful. Because sometimes the best financial move is not about making more money. Sometimes the best move is protecting the progress you already have. An emergency fund does exactly that. It protects your progress, protects your peace, and it protects your future choices. Wealth isn't built overnight. It's built by habit. If this video helped you, like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more simple videos about money habits, saving, investing, and long-term wealth.